This Friday, December 20th, NBA Betting Picks edition of the NBA Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up with promo code NBA SGPN to get a 50% deposit bonus of up to $1,000. We're also brought to you by Rebet, a new sportsbook available in 45 states. Download Rebet in your app store and use promo code SGPN for a 100% deposit match up to $100. We're also brought to you by Rhythm, the leader in data-driven picks and props. Get your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. And we're also brought to you by the SGPN College Football Playoff Challenge. It's free to enter and a $1,000 grand prize. Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/CFB to enter today. Welcome, everyone, to the NBA Gambling Podcast, part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. Friday, December the 20th, as we closer and closer wind down the year of 2024. A lot of action last night, not so much tonight. 3 games on the schedule, but of course we'll get into each and every game here. Side total, talk about a few props that we do like for the game as well. I'll give you our lock and dog, and of course, an Underdog Fantasy entry as well. But joining me on this episode, here to help me break down the Friday card, you guys know him as the voice of the Tennis Gambling Podcast, the WNBA Gambling Podcast, MLB, and of course, here on the NBA Gambling Podcast, Scott Studio Reichel. Scott, what's going on, my man? How you doing?
Yeah, doing pretty well. I can't complain. A bit of a smaller card today than there was yesterday, but should be some good games, so looking forward to it.
Yeah, a couple of pretty good matchups here on the Friday card. I know Thursday was very eventful in the NBA. Back to your regularly scheduled program with the NBA Cup now over for the 2024-2025 season, but turned out to be a pretty good night. I felt I had a pretty good gauge on the card last night. Unfortunately, my lock didn't come through. Fell a little bit short on the over in the Pacers and the Suns game. I think Devin Booker leaving that game was... I don't want to say the cause of it, but I think that it was the offense really struggled after Devin Booker left. So, but I did have the Lakers on the money line last night. They hung on and beat the Sacramento Kings. So that was a nice dog pickup win there for the pod for myself, and of course a nice win for the Lakers there as well. Let's get into last night. We can recap a couple of things, and then we could get into the card here for the Friday games. But obviously, the big spanking is the Golden State Warriors. They lose the game by 50 some odd points. Dennis Schroeder did make his season debut, or should I say team debut, with the Golden State Warriors. Didn't matter there, but I think over the last couple games here, Scott, for the Golden State Warriors has been how bad their three-point defense has been. They allowed the Dallas Mavericks to shoot 21 of 41 the other night, where they gave up 140 plus points. Same result last night. They give the Memphis Grizzlies the franchise record for their three-point shots made last night. I think they knocked down 27. Another game where they gave up 140 plus points. And I mean, we've talked about this Warriors team a lot, but they just suck right now. It's just a plain way to put it.
Yeah, I've been roasting them for about a week straight or so. They have completely unraveled, really no way around it. You're looking at the Warriors really just having no sense of direction at the moment, and the question is how to fix it, because they got Schroeder, and we'll see if that's going to fix something long-term. Curry made no shots from the floor yesterday. I mean, you're just looking at the Grizzlies, who dominated the entire game. I mean, they won by 50 and change. Yeah, Golden State's just not very good. I believe Draymond Green had 0 stats in the entire first half. 0 points, 0 rebounds, and 0 assists. So, yeah, this team's got problems. I would say that it's pretty safe to, conclude they overachieved in the first couple weeks of the season. Now they've regressed back to being average. And, yeah, this team's really, I don't think they're well coached. I don't think that the rotations make any sense. And, of course, Steph is getting up there in years. But at the end of the day, this team just has, I don't want to say the same type of reputation as the Lakers, but the same argument of we talk about these teams a lot, or I should say mainstream media does, and they're not threats to win anything. Now, the Lakers have been trending better after struggling about a couple weeks ago, and now it seems like they've kind of switched spots with the Warriors, but the Warriors aren't very good, and people keep pretending that they're relevant, but they're really not.
Yeah, the bench last night for the Memphis Grizzlies knocks down 18 of their 27 made three-point shots last night. John Morant did leave the game yesterday with a back injury, so we'll wait and see what the status of Morant will be. He only played 17 minutes, but it's not like they really needed him out there, especially after what transpired in that first half for the Memphis Grizzlies in that game. So they absolutely just run away with the game. But there were some other pretty great games last night. The Hawks and the Spurs game was a really fun matchup to watch. I know that went into overtime. Wemby had a big game there for the San Antonio Spurs. He finished the game, I believe, was at 42 points last night. 133, 126 victory. In overtime, they cover the spread. They also obviously get the outright win. 42 points last time for Wemby. Also had, let's see, putting up the box score, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, as well as 7 of 15 from beyond the arc for Wemby. 20 points as well for Jeremy Sohan. Devin Vassell also had 23 points for the Spurs team, so a pretty good win for them as well. Boston doing Boston things. 14, I think they were a 14-point favorite yesterday. Yep. And they lose the game outright. I guess maybe to nobody's shock there, but Bulls going there 117-108 victory there. I think the other good game that I was really keeping my eye on, or I guess competitive game, was the Portland Trailblazers. They also get the outright victory against the Denver Nuggets 126-124. Anthony Simons hits the game-winning layup for the Blazers, and they get the outright victory as an 8.5-point dog in that game. So those are the games I was kind of keeping my eye on. Of course, we can touch on the Knicks and the Wolves here in a second as well. But do you have any thoughts on anything that caught your eye last night, Scott?
Well, I mean, we keep talking about Denver. Team sucks. I'm not going to rehash it. This team's not any good. It is what it is. Joker's been doing his best to, I guess, carry the team. I know he didn't have an amazing stat line yesterday. He was fine, but at the end of the day, they can't stop anybody.
Right.
Murray can't move. We know that you're looking at the rest of the overall starting lineup. Porter Jr. has been a liability defensively for his entire career. Joker is not a great defensive player, let's put it that way. So they can't guard anybody. They need to make some moves. So once again, Denver, I've already seen multiple games that prove they need some type of reinforcements. I don't really know what we're waiting for at this point. I know a lot of teams were willing to sell around the deadline, but damn, Denver needs to make a move because they might be a play-in team at this point.
I thought I saw a note that they were exploring Zach LaVine.
Yeah, because he guards people.
Yeah, but yeah, that's true too. But I mean, that's what I saw. I don't know how much, that'll come into fruition, especially with that contract. I don't know if they want to take that on, but they have a couple of bad contracts themselves. So
yeah, point is though, Denver was linked to Zach LaVine. Once again, not sure if that's actually going to take them over the top or not.
Yeah,
offensively, it'll make them a bit deeper, but I don't even know what you trade. What do you get rid of? Like Porter Jr.? Like how do you match salaries on that?
Yeah, it would have to be MPJ for that team. So, yeah, again, the theme of these bad teams, like we talked about, obviously that's what kind of makes them bad teams, is on the defensive side. Like we just talked about the Warriors giving up 140 plus points. You give up 126 to the Portland Trailblazers. So, at a point they were a pretty good defensive team when they had guys like Bruce Brown and KCP. So I think, losing KCP at the time probably didn't seem like a big deal to casual NBA fans, but he was one of their better defenders and gave them that the 3-and-D guy that they needed. So we'll see what transpires. Hold on, before we continue the conversation here, Scott, let me just quickly remind everybody, still time to get in for the college football contest happening over at the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. It's free to enter. It's the first annual one. You pick sides and totals for every game with a chance to win 1,000 grand prize. All you got to do is just go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/CFB. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/CFB. Still time to get in there. So go ahead. It's free to enter that contest. What else from last night, Scott? Anything else?
I mean, just thinking of the rest of the stuff that we talked about, Boston's messing around again. What else is new? Good win for the Bulls, though. They're like that weird team that can kind of sneak up on you, but you don't actually take them seriously long term.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, looking at the other games that happened yesterday, Detroit, I don't know what the hell that actual first quarter was. They gave up 48 points, trailed by 29 points after a quarter to Utah, which is kind of absurd.
Yeah.
Looking at the other stuff, Oklahoma City almost choked. They held on to win. Knicks dominated. Cat was great in his return to Minnesota. I believe he had, what do you have, a 30-20 game? He
32 25, and I think he was the first player like in NBA history to do something like that.
Yeah, it was 32, 20, and 6. So he was 10 of 12 from the floor, too. So Cat just kicked their asses last night. Good for him. Personally, Houston beat New Orleans. That's a fake basketball team. My Nets came through because Toronto is not good at basketball. I got to mention the Wizards. They actually won a game. Congratulations. They're officially 4-21. LaMelo yesterday, 11 of 32 from the floor, 3 of 18 from 3. Yes, he had 13 assists and he finished with 34 points. Congratulations. 3 of 18 from the floor. I don't even care how many guys are injured. Pass the damn ball. 3 of 18 from 3, 11 of 32 from the floor is just insane. At some point, you gotta, talk to the guy, right?
Yeah. 32 shots to score 34 points last night for LaMelo Ball.
3 of 18 from 3. Go to the rim.
We'll talk about that team here in a minute as they are in Philly tonight in a back-to-back situation. So that was probably the toilet bowl of the toilet bowl of the night, the toilet bowl game of the night last night. But I thought the Hornets would actually go in there and win. But defensively, it seems like they're back to their usual ways as far as not playing any type of defense. All right, Scott, let's get into it here, man. We got 3 games on the Friday card. We'll start it here with those Charlotte Hornets. They are in Philly here tonight to take on the Sixers. Sixers are laying 10.5 points in this game with a total of 215.5. Looking at the injury report, of course, Charlotte does get that extended time because they are on a back-to-back situation here. For the Philadelphia 76ers, Joel Embiid is officially questionable here tonight as he's dealing with that sinus fracture. We have Caleb Martin, who is out here tonight. Jared McCain is also out, of course. And Maxey and Paul George will be playing in this game. These 2 teams just matched up not too long ago, where both Tyrese Maxey and Paul George had a phenomenal game for the Philadelphia 76ers. They won that game. Let's see here. What was the score in that game? 121-109. Back-to-back games now. The Charlotte Hornets had given up 120-plus points here, but they are in Philly here on Friday night. Scott, what are your thoughts on this matchup?
Yeah, I don't think the Hornets are any good, as we just talked about before. But Philly, is Embiid going to play? We don't know. I mean, these teams suck. There's really no way to get around it. Now, Philly on paper is the better team. Then again, if it was a battle of teams on paper, Philly would be better than their current record. So I don't want to lay this with Philly. I get the argument is they could easily smack this team, but without knowing if Embiid's going to play or not, and honestly just watching Philly play, Paul George has been, I'd say, underwhelming in his signing so far with the Sixers. He's had a couple of bright spots, but mostly, I'd say, underwhelming. Terrell and I kind of have this theory, which is kind of, I'd say, a common theme on this show, which is if you are getting a spot in a toilet bowl and you're getting pretty much a decent amount of points, then you kind of just take the points. But I think it's a lot. I got to play the drop, though, because these teams are horrible. And these teams are awful, so I'll go with the points. Do I feel good about it? No, but I'll go with the over. Charlotte can't stop anybody.
Yeah, I mean, like we mentioned, right, these 2 teams just matched up. They've given up 120-plus points. If Embiid's out there, I like the Hornets side, actually. I mean, every time he comes back after missing a couple games off, he goes 2 of 13, 2 of 14. The offense just looks like a mess. Hornets in the first half in particular, when they are a road underdog, Scott, they're just 2-9 ATS. 2-9 straight up, 4-7 ATS on back-to-back situations, 1-4 straight up, 1-4 ATS in the first half there as well. But again, as a favorite this season, the Sixers have not done well. Yes, a lot of that's been without their top 3 guys out there, but gun to my head, I would be with you with the Hornets here. I would play the over in this game here as well. I don't expect a lot of defense from the Hornets side.
You're being generous. I don't expect any defense from the Hornets side.
So. So yeah, over for me. I'll keep an eye on if Embiid does in fact end up playing in this game or not. And this could be a game where maybe LaMelo sits as well. I don't know if they want to be very careful with him with that ankle injury coming back. But do you have any
Well,
props that you like in this game?
his shoulder might be sore because he took 32 shots
That's
yesterday.
true
So
too.
we'll
Yeah.
see. I mean, you might need some, like an ice pack, like a pitcher. That complete game picture where back in the day you saw the massive wrapping of. I wonder if that was LaMelo last night in the locker room.
Any props you like?
For props, I mean, once again, a lot of it depends on if Embiid's going to play or not. Now, if
Yeah.
Embiid does not play, I like Oubre rebounds. Oubre's been good on the boards recently. I think that's kind of a sneaky play. For the Hornets, even though LaMelo couldn't shoot to save his life yesterday, I still got to go with his either PA or his points because the volume's insane. Like, I can't ignore how many shots he's taking per game, and clearly they don't care about winning at all. And LaMelo has the green light of all green lights. Miles Bridges was fine yesterday. But I think for the most part, with Brandon Miller once again being injured recently, that gives an even greener light to LaMelo.
Yeah.
It's LaMelo or pass, maybe LaMelo double-double, maybe assists. But once again, I don't think that he's a winning basketball player, but his stats and his usage speak for themselves. I kind of have to go LaMelo props in this game as long as he's active and Brandon Miller isn't.
I'm surprised to see his assist at 7.5 for this game.
If it was 7.5 yesterday, and he ended up with 13.
Yeah, and he had, I think, was it 12? Sorry, not against the Sixers. Yeah, he had double digits in that game as well against the Sixers. He had 12 assists in that game, so that might be a play here for me. LaMelo over 7.5 assists. Anything else for this game?
Not really. I think Maxey could have a good matchup, but a lot of it depends on usage with Embiid being in or out of the lineup. So I'm going to have to wait it out.
All right. Before we continue the conversation here for the Friday card, let me tell everyone about our friends over at Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Pick'em has one of the biggest menus for all sports. You can win up to 1,000x with Underdog Streaks. Underdog is always making it easier to win with profit boosts and gimme pick'ems. NFL, college football, college basketball, MMA, NASCAR, and more. You can now use specials and boosts on all flex entries. Sign up with promo code NBA SGPN to claim your special pick and first-time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. That's UnderdogFantasy.com. Make sure you use that promo code NBA SGPN. We're also brought to you by Rebet. Rebet is a new social sportsbook available in 45 states. There are plenty of betting opportunities that are available on Rebet. It's easy to use and great for people in states where traditional sportsbooks may be restricted. Download Rebet in the App Store and use the promo code SGPN for a 100% deposit match up to $100. Again, that's Rebet. Use that promo code SGPN. All right, next game on the schedule, we'll go over to the Milwaukee Bucks. They are visiting the Cleveland Cavaliers in this game. Cavs are laying 9 points with a total of 222. Injury report for the Milwaukee Bucks. Damian Lillard is out for this game. He's dealing with a right calf strain. Chris Middleton is probable as he's dealing with a illness. Giannis is also probable for this game. And that is it for the Bucks side of things. For the Cavs, Isaac Okoro is going to be out. Max Strus is questionable with a right ankle sprain, and that is it. So Okoro and Dame will miss this game, confirmed for both teams respectively. Cavs laying 9 points here at home. Scott, what are your thoughts on this matchup?
So even though Dame's out, I do think it's a lot of points. Now, the argument against Milwaukee would be a potential letdown because they did end up winning the NBA Cup. They were in Vegas for a couple days, and now they're going back to Cleveland. 9's a lot. Like, I think Milwaukee is definitely going to be competitive in this game if they are mentally engaged in this matchup. Cleveland, I do think, is a very solid team. They also haven't played in a while. You could argue about some rust factors there. But I think I'm going to go with Milwaukee plus 9. It's a lot of points. Like, I just think that even though you can make an argument that Milwaukee might, I don't want to say overlook Cleveland, because Cleveland record-wise is insane. The argument against Milwaukee is the letdown spot emotionally. I'm not sure about that. I think Milwaukee, based on how well they've played, might want to keep momentum going. Of course, Moro's mentioning that he got 7.5. I'll put it this way. I like Cleveland a lot more at 7.5 than at 9. So at 9, I'll go with Milwaukee. I like the over in this game, though. Then the total's too short. Yes, I know the Dame's not going to play. Okoro's a very good defensive wing on this team, and they don't have many great defensive wings. They have a lot of great overall paint defense with Jared Allen, with Evan Mobley. On the perimeter, you got Garland, Mitchell. They're not really viewed as being great defenders. Okoro is, and now he's out. So I don't really trust Cleveland's, I'd say, backcourt defense in this game. And even with Lillard being out, I do think that the Bucks have enough, I'd say, depth to score against this type of unit. As for the defense, Milwaukee definitely flipped the switch into the NBA Cup. Neutral site game. Think it'll get back to the high-paced, no-defense NBA style we're used to seeing during the regular season. I like the over. I think it's an overreaction to Dame being out. 222, though, is too low. Each of the first two meetings went over. I see a pretty high-scoring game. I'll go with the over.
Yeah, I know Giannis was talking about in his interview after they won the cup that defense was the focus for this team. I'm not sure that'll translate in this game. Like you mentioned, it could be a letdown spot. They had the conversations, Doc Rivers and Darvin Ham, about how things kind of derailed for the Lakers last season after they won the chip and they celebrated. I mean, it seems like that they didn't celebrate after in the locker room, at least after they won the NBA Cup. You obviously are in Vegas. You probably did, something. But I think the difference for the Bucks team is that they've had 2 days off in between winning the NBA Cup and now playing their first game here on Friday, right? I think last year the Lakers only had 1 day off. They went into San Antonio as a favorite. I think they lost that game by 3 points, and things got, derailed from there a little bit. But Cavs have been good in the first half as a home favorite this season. 14-0-1 straight up. ATS wise, 10-5 straight up. 10-5 ATS in the first half as well. So maybe they come out a little bit slow here, do the Bucks in the first half, get their gears going a little bit in the second half. So if you want to back I think the Cavs here, I would look at it maybe in the first half. I think the Bucks could keep this game competitive in the second half. They've done pretty well in the second half of games recently. I know their defense has been better as well, but I'm not sure that focus will be there in this game. I feel like I agree with you, Scott, that this total felt a little bit low. This is the first end of a back-to-back for this Bucks team. They do play tomorrow night on Saturday as well. So I'm with you. I think this is too many points here, even without Dame. I think Giannis can have a big game here. These role players have really stepped up. The three-point shooting has been there for this Bucks team, whether it's been Green or whether it's been Trent Jr., Brooke Lopez, we know, can knock down shots, and Chris Middleton being back for the team, I think, is big as well. So yeah, I'm with you. I like the Bucks here plus the 9 here. I like the over as well. Any player props you're looking at in this game?
I think Giannis might floor the triple-double in this game, with Dame being out. We know that the ball handling should be pretty much entirely at his disposal. I think that he can have a good matchup here. The points and the rebounds feel pretty good about in general, but I think that the assists will definitely get a spike with the Lillard being out, so that could be worth an option. If you want to go for potentially a Donovan Mitchell game, I don't hate that either, but I kind of want to target somebody on Milwaukee with Coro being out, and I think it might end up being maybe Trent Jr. threes, and that could be intriguing. But I think that Milwaukee, if they're going to win this game or keep it competitive, and Giannis might get the assists, then you're looking at one of the three-point specialists, either AJ Green, either Trent Jr., maybe even Taurean Prince, just having solid games from the outside. That could be an option.
Yeah, I couldn't talk you off of that. I think that Giannis assist might be a look. Middleton assist as well. It's just kind of been tricky with the number of minutes that he's been playing, because he's been hovering around 21.3 minutes per game. Maybe that starts to increase a little bit for Chris Middleton. I don't see his assist prop posted just yet. Maybe they're just waiting for him to be confirmed in. But I think that could be an angle in this game for sure for Chris Middleton as far as his assists do go. Anything else you like for this game?
Not really. I think that kind of wraps it up. Maybe Jared Allen double-double, but of course that's going to be pretty decently priced. So, no, that's basically it.
All right. Last game of the night is going to be the Oklahoma City Thunder. They are in South Beach to take on the Heat. Heat are currently laying 1 point in this game with a total of 216.5. Looking at the injury report, Thunder do get that extra time to submit because they did play against Orlando yesterday. And for the Miami Heat, questionable tags on Nikola Jovic, and Josh Richardson is doubtful for this game. And Josh Christopher is out for this game for the Miami Heat. The Thunder did win last night in Orlando, 105-99. They are on a back-to-back situation here, Scott, but this is a pretty good matchup here on paper at least. But what are your thoughts on the Thunder and the Heat laying 1 point here?
So Thunder on a back-to-back. That Orlando game was pretty weird because it felt like Oklahoma State was going to blow them out on about 3 separate occasions, and then it seemed like Orlando kept fighting their way back. Miami's a team I really can't stand because just when you think that they might have figured it out, they lose to Detroit. in a game they probably should have won.
Yeah.
So it's really just a frustrating team to follow. I think if I had to go with a matchup here or play, I would go with Miami. It's been a lot of games for Oklahoma City. You play in the Cup final, and then you have to go immediately play in Orlando, and Orlando's a tough team to play against based on the physicality. That game was physical. Now you're against Miami. Spot-wise, it is definitely better for Miami, and the line being that short is pretty telling to me. I'm going to go with Miami, but once again, I can't stand this team, but I think that it makes sense for the spot, so I'll go with the Heat.
Yeah, I think for man, I don't know. I can't really trust this Miami Heat team.
I don't blame you. I can't trust them either.
Yeah, Thunder have been good. I know, again, like you mentioned, they've been playing a lot of games with the Cup games, and will this be their third game in what, 5 nights, I believe?
Give or take, yeah.
Yeah. So, or third game in 4 nights, actually. So, those are usually tricky spots there. Miami at home, which is weird. When they have the rest advantage, they're actually 0-4 in the first half straight up in ATS.
That's such a Miami Heat stat. That's like such a Miami Heat stat.
Yeah. I'll still go with the Thunder, man. I just feel like they're a better team. Miami has been playing well, obviously, with all their guys being healthy. But like you mentioned, with them losing that game against the Detroit Pistons, or in a game where they should have won convincingly, I believe that game went into overtime, if I'm not mistaken, between those two squads there. But I know the defensive intensity is going to be there for the Oklahoma City Thunder. When you have a good defense, it travels. And for this Thunder team, they've been the number one number one rated defensive efficient team for a reason. And I think this is a spot here where they can really clamp down on the defensive side as well. So I do like the under in this game at 216.5. Again, gun to my head, I would go with a Thunder here plus the 1 and the money line here for this team. You have any thoughts on the total here, Scott?
For this game, it's really tricky, honestly. I think I'll go with the under. I'll back Oklahoma City's defense to contribute, but maybe it's also tired of legs. Maybe Oklahoma City kind of just comes out flat a bit offensively. I'm going to go under, but once again, I am not that interested in actually betting this game.
Yeah, I was looking for player props, but they just don't have a lot posted, at least for the Thunder side. Maybe, of course, Isaiah Hardenstein rebounds he's at 11.5. It's juiced towards the under. I think Bam could have a pretty good matchup here tonight. I know you're not a huge fan of him, but
like Bam has had a good season. It's just every time I pick games to back him, he does nothing. So
yeah, he had, prior to that game against the Pistons, 21-16, 16-13, 25-12, 14-10. So maybe a rebounding prop here tonight for Bam. I think that would be an angle in this game. But other than that, I think that's it. Hit Hub mentioning OKC's 4-0 on second leg of back-to-backs this season. That's a good stat there. And
it's such a weird spot though, with the Vegas travel attached to it though. Like 3 games in 5 nights with traveling all over the place. They did
them pretty dirty. They did. I don't think they'll. Well, let me see where their next matchup is going to be for the Thunder, because
I hope they have at least 2 days off, like entering the next game. But we'll see.
Yeah, I'll just quickly peek at the schedule here. I know there's a lot of games on Saturday. Let's see.
Well, I know for a fact they're not playing on Saturday, so
yeah. Thunder. All right, so they have obviously the Heat tonight, and then their next game will be on Monday, so they get the weekend off.
All right, okay, that balances out. All right,
yeah, and they get a huge gift. They get the Wizards at home.
Okay, I mean, don't look now. Wizards on a 1-game winning streak.
Yeah. All right, anything else for this game, Scott?
No, not really.
All right, before we get into Lock and Dog, and then, of course, our Underdog Fantasy entry here for tonight, let me quickly mention our good old buddies over at BetMGM. Hey, believe it or not, BetMGM has been around SGPN for years. Check out their new and improved website. It's great on mobile, plus props for every game and the live dealer casino. They even have new early cash out option that's available. Head over to mybookie.ag, use our promo code SGPN for a 100% deposit bonus of up to $1,000. Plus, they'll throw in a $10 casino chip for you as well. That's mybookie.ag, promo code SGPN. And we're also brought to you by Rhythm. SGPN's prop partner Rhythm is the #1 AI-powered back sports betting platform that helps provide bettors of all levels the ability to build custom predictive betting models in seconds. and get predictions for betting on money line, spreads, totals, and props. Build your own model, copy one of the top performing models from the leaderboard, or have Rhythm build a model for you. Now you can track props in the Rhythm app as well. NFL picks, NFL props, college football, college basketball, NBA, Rhythm. Honestly, they have it all. So claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. All right, so that is the schedule here for tonight. 3 games. Let's get into our lock and dog picks. Here, Scott, you want to lead us off?
Yeah, so for the lock, it's pretty funny because I roasted him for half the podcast. Give me LaMelo Ball over 7.5 assists in this game at -115. Like, even though you can make an argument maybe there's a min restriction involved, 7.5 assists is objectively low for LaMelo. The ball's in his hands every possession. And you're looking at his numbers yesterday. I mentioned he took 30-plus shots yesterday. He's still at 13 assists. Like, 7.5, I think, is fundamentally wrong. Now, against the Sixers, he's been good, too. He's had at least 8 assists in 2 straight games against the Sixers. He had 12 in the last game, the game in December. But you're looking at 22 potential assists in that last meeting. I just think the ball's in his hands too much. 7.5's way too low. I think that LaMelo, against the Sixers defense, it's actually allowing a decent amount of assists per game to opposing point guards. I believe they're allowing right now the 8th most in the league, I think. So point is, they are definitely not a great team at preventing assists. LaMelo, though, has had at least 9 in 4 of the last 6 games, at least 12 in each of the last 2. The ball's in his hands all the time. It's a usage thing for me. If you want to go for rebounds included, you can. I'm not going to bother. Just give me the assists, especially with a Brandon Miller who might play, might not play. But the point is, if he does, he'll be on a min restriction because he has an ankle issue. So give me LaMelo over 7.5 assists at -115 as my lock. For my dog, this is going to be a bit of a trickier one because I feel like I was mostly on the favorites today, at least based on winning. Milwaukee, I'm not going to pick him to win the game. I think that game could be close, though. Giannis, I think, could have a monster game. So I might want to go with maybe his, I don't want to say rebounds and assists, but maybe I can find an alt line on that. Thought about Case and Wallace steals as well, who's been good at stealing recently, but I think I am going to go back to Giannis, but I think that his assists have value. So I think I'm going to go with that instead. For reference, by the way, if you wanted the triple-double for Giannis, it's around 4-1, so that price has completely just plummeted. So I can't take that anymore. I mean, 7.5 plus 114, is that intriguing? Not really, but he has had 9+ assists in 3 straight games against the Cavs, so I might go with his PR. I mean, his RA, I might try to find an alt line on Giannis RA just for usage. It's at 18.5, though. I can get 21.5 at plus 175, which I think is pretty appealing because he can walk into like 14 rebounds and then that'll kind of carry you to that. Unless I want to go for a largest comeback bet potentially. It's pretty tricky with these games. I think I am going to trust Giannis. Last game against, by the way, the rebounds is at least 16 rebounds in 3 of the last 4 games against the Cavs. So rebounds could be intriguing in this one. I think I'll do that instead. Give me Giannis over 13.5 rebounds at plus 200 on DraftKings.
All right. For my lock, I'll just take the Thunder ATS in the first half. We mentioned the numbers for the Heat. They've had a lot of time off here. Maybe they'll have a little bit of rust coming out. If there are going to be any tired legs for the Thunder, maybe they show up in the second half. But I do like the Thunder in the first half in this game. Right now, currently over on mybookie.ag, you can get this number at plus a half, -15 if you want to take it on the spread. If you just want to take the money line, it is -105 on that money line for the Thunder in the first half. So I'll take them on the money line in the first half. Oklahoma City Thunder tonight against the Miami Heat.
Fun fact, did you know that you cannot spell thunder without under?
Yes, I did know that. Did you know the 2 teams matching up tonight in Miami are 2 of 4 teams that don't end with an S?
Yes, that does sound right. Shout out to the Jazz, who killed me yesterday, but shout out to the Utah Jazz.
All right, for my dog, probably have to be a player prop here. I kind of like Maxey here tonight, but his points prop is already at like 26.5 for this game. And I do feel like that MB does end up playing, that'll kill me. It might just be a rebounding prop for Bam here tonight. Be curious to see what his double is, but it's probably at a minus price anyways. Let's see. Yeah, it's minus 170. Let's see what his rebounding prop is. It's sitting at 10.5 in this game, but again, I think that he's done a really good job of rebounding the basketball this season. And if there are some tired legs that do catch up, maybe some short shots that come up for the Thunder in this game, especially in the second half, I think that's where he can really take off. So I'll go, if you want to start the ladder at 12 plus rebounds for Bam, it's at plus 130 and then work your way up from there. 13 plus rebounds is at plus 210. Mentioned it, he's done a really good job of rebounding over the last 5 games for the Miami Heat. No, he didn't get it done against the Detroit Pistons, but against the Raptors, he had 16. He had 13 against the Cavs, 12 against the Phoenix Suns, did have double digits against the Lakers there as well. So we'll start the ladder with Bam rebounds at 12 plus and then work our way from there for my dog pick of the night. All right, Scott, let's put together our Underdog Fantasy entry here for tonight. Again, make sure you use that promo code NBA SGPN if you haven't already signed up over at Underdog Fantasy. You get a 50% deposit bonus of up to $1,000. So get over there, use that promo code NBA SGPN. All right, let me pull it up here. Where do we want to start? We want to start with Giannis. Get over to the NBA side of things. All right, here we go. So Giannis, you said points and assists, or sorry, rebounds and assists, right?
Yeah.
So that's at 18.5. We'll throw that in there higher. You want to throw in like LaMelo Ball assist?
Sure. I mean, I'm curious if it's going to be 8 on Underdog or if it's going to be 7.5, but 7.5 is just too low for.
Yeah, it's 7.5, but it's 0.89x on the higher.
It's actually not even that bad. I'm fine with that.
Okay. And then I like maxi points. I like the Bam rebounds. You have a preference out of those two or anything for the Thunder side?
Sure, I'll dare him to do something. We'll go Bam rebounds.
All right.
We'll see if he's officially, I'd say if he's out of my personal doghouse or if I got to put him back in, because I don't think I've bet on Bam in the last 2 years and I've had no regrets, but we'll see how it goes in this one.
All right. Well, we'll try him out here on this Friday night, see if he can come on or be in this entry and hopefully he can get us a winning entry on Underdog. All right, just a recap here. Friday night, Underdog Fantasy entry. Giannis rebounds and assists, higher 18.5. LaMelo Ball, higher 7.5 assists, and we'll go Bam, higher 10.5 rebounds. That's a 4.8x entry. So every $10 that you do put in, you'll get a return of $48. So come join the fun if you haven't already. UnderdogFantasy.com. Use that promo code NBA SGPN. 50% deposit bonus of up to $1,000. They got all these fun stuff as well. They got like these discount tokens, profit boosts there as well. So it's a lot of fun over on Underdog Fantasy. All right, that's going to wrap it up here for this edition of the NBA Gambling Podcast. 3 games on the Friday card here, so not a long episode here. But Scott, anything else you want to mention before we get out of here?
Yeah, college football playoff might be a snow game tonight. So if you want some thoughts on that, check out the college experience. I'm not on that show, just a plug there. Probably gonna have a tennis episode at some point, either tonight or tomorrow for whatever the current tournament they're having now with the next gen stuff. Besides that, of course, you also have a baseball episode that we did over the past week for I'd say some off-season updates and stuff like that. I'm sure we're gonna have another episode at some point with win totals, etc. Don't look now, but we got a couple months to go. So once again, baseball season closer than you think. So keep that in mind. But for the most part, college football playoff stuff, you actually got a bowl game in 20 minutes. So I'll be watching college sports for most of the day.
Yeah, we got college football, got some college basketball as well. I know tennis is on as well. So at least that'll get us through the day here, getting into the evening slate for all the games happening this Friday night and then going into the weekend. So it should be a fun weekend of sports. Make sure you guys follow Scott over on the Twitter machine at Reichel Radio. You can follow me there as well at SportsNerd824. You can also follow us on Twitter as well for the pod account at SGPN NBA. And then if you haven't already subscribed to the NBA Gambling Podcast YouTube channel, please do us a favor, subscribe there. And then if you are watching us live, just smash that like button for us on your way out. We would definitely appreciate it if you can do that for us. All right, we'll be back next week on Monday for a new week of NBA betting. Till then, good luck with your bets. Let's break these books off, and always remember to let it ride.
Basketball, give me the ball because I'm